Okay. Okay. Let me see. Notes. Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm just gonna, I muted my guest here. I didn't mean to do that, no. No. Todd, can you hear me? Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so happy. I was just letting people into the room, so we're good. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am so glad that you guys made it here on our monthly masterclass. And this week's guest is Mr. Taj Yale. Taj is a good business friend of mine. He spoke at my conference last year, but I'll let him tell all about it. And he is a marketing guru. So I'm really excited to learn from him. I'm excited to share him with you all. And so I know he has tons of tips and tricks for your Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I am going to ask for you guys to hold your questions until the end. Just go ahead and jot down your questions at the end, and Taj will be more than happy to answer them. And so to my group, tack'in in Stilettos, welcome. You guys haven't heard from me in a while. I know it's a lot of stuff going on, and I just wanted to make sure that we were sensitive to everyone's time and what's going on right now here in the community. So we are back, and we are going to be working on our business. And I am so glad you guys are here. And take it away, Taj. We're going to go ahead and get started.
Hi, Ms. Loren Hicks. Thanks for having me on your interview and on your show. I greatly appreciate it. As Loren introduced at the outset, we know each other. She provided me with my first speaking gig at Michigan's largest event at the Michigan Fashion Summit Week, where I was felt honored to have the keynote speaking experience where I could talk a little bit about my company and some of the marketing and social media tricks that we offer, being that digital and social media seems to be an intricate part of how a good number of businesses operate these days. I won't say most, but a good number of businesses operate these days. So as Loren mentioned, my name is Taj Yale. I'm the founder and CEO of Think Impact. We are a marketing company based out of Rochester Hills, Michigan. We were founded in June of 2017. We specialize in social media management. Within the social media realm, we specialize in content management, analytics, content aggregation, helping our clients develop content generation calendars. And I also got my bachelor's and master's from Oakland University in marketing. So I decided bachelor's wasn't enough, so I decided to go for my MBA and got that in December of 2016. And excited to tell you more about how your businesses can generate revenue as well as create brand awareness using social media through many of the major platforms. So thanks again, Loren, for having me. I greatly appreciate it. So would you like me to?
Go ahead and let you get started. I'll let you take the floor. Kind of jump right in.
Oh, okay. So for all of you, I've developed a pitch deck, or what I like to consider a pitch deck here. I can try to share my screen here. So a little bit about the overview of what I'll be talking about, just so all of your listeners have a good idea. I'll be giving more background about Think Impact, talking about the marketing life cycle, because as companies have product life cycles, they also have a marketing life cycle in terms of adapting to trends and kind of keeping up with the latest platforms to have an online presence. Talking about how social media and companies can generate revenue, specifically within Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, benefits of having a social media presence, and how Think Impact might be able to help your organization in turn. So a little bit about Think Impact. The actual fruition of Think Impact was formed by local businesses reaching out to us in our early stages, wanting help with branding and marketing strategies to help. So, some of them were mom and pop shops, so they necessarily weren't aware of the digital marketing aspect of it and how it could help drive revenue to their business. And also some of the existing small businesses out there got to know us through some of the other clients that we've worked with, so providing marketing strategy and marketing consulting as well. So that's how really Think Impact came together. We're a local consulting company that has a mission to provide help for specifically small to mid-sized companies. That's not to say that we've not done projects with larger corporations, such as a company called Tech Inclusion, which hosts over 50 to 60 global conferences through the diversity and inclusion lens. As an example of many large organizations that we've worked with. And through that, we hope to provide marketing skills, consulting, and a competitive knowledge compared to our competition. Currently, we have clients in the following industries, such as engineering, to be more specific, the autonomous vehicle space, which is gaining a lot of traction. Property management. So we also offer project management in addition to all of the marketing activities that we provide. Tech, and then diversity and inclusion. So working with boutique staffing and recruiting firms, for example, in Seattle, to help them market their workshops and initiatives. I should also mention, before I started Think Impact, just provide a little career background. I held different marketing roles within corporate, through government, sports and marketing, sports and entertainment, and through those industries before I formed Think Impact in 2017. So marketing life cycle, there are, as with any company, there's always a product life cycle, or what they call a company life cycle, from inception to kind of maturing to actually growing their businesses. Similarly to that, marketing has a cycle of its own. So the first stage of that cycle is attracting, right? Building awareness, getting people excited, then actually upselling some of their services, and providing, promotions or consumer-friendly sweepstake options, for example, to actually get people to be interested in the product, and then actually delivering. So, what I always like to say when marketing is under promise but over deliver, because you don't want to promise something and it doesn't work out, that might be over your or a company's head. So everything is going digital. Digital is the new wave. So how do I, be part of this process through social media? I'm going to talk about that through all of the major platforms. So for example, Facebook, how to drive awareness. Awareness is a big, big key to marketing your businesses. So there are many ways: creating organic content, or what they like to call paid content. Or developing ads, organic ads or paid ads. So when determining the right paid ad to actually convert from awareness to engagement, you want to approach the appropriate demographic, and not have a broad enough demographic where you're attracting too many people, but finding the right balance for your company in the space that you're operating in. So that's very important. Within that ad, it's also important to link all of your organization pages, whether it's across social media platforms, your website information, and creating a description that attracts the person to visit your website. Sending the ad to your followers. Yes, that is the traditional way of kind of spreading the love, if you will, on social media. But it's also important to remember that you should be your own PR, right? So approaching local PR or any news-related organizations to help ramp up that promotion or that ad spread. That way you get more customers, potential customers in the future. Getting their contact information. So email lists and contact lists are a big thing. I know, for example, on Twitter and through different websites, many of them have pop-ups where they ask you to subscribe to their email list. That's also another way of building your own contact list. So whenever you do have promotions or events that you think they might be interested in, that will be another method to directly approach your demographic. And posting in closely associated Facebook groups, right? So for example, if you are a medical company and you're looking to expand your follower base for a medical company, chances are you're more likely to want to search hospital systems, college and universities, and groups of that nature where you can post just the right amount of information. Obviously, you don't want to publish too much personal information about your company, but at least say, hey, this is my company, these are the services that we offer. We'd love to set up a consulting session or provide some sort of promotion to attract new customers that will both follow your page, or go to your website, drive that website traffic even more, and who knows, that could turn into a potential lead just by following those easy steps. Another way is to utilize Facebook insights and metrics. So this is kind of the Google Analytics within Facebook itself, right? Obviously, it may not be as technical as the Google Analytics where it's measuring SEO or pay-per-click, but based upon the demographic breakdown and how people are viewing your data, you can accordingly shift what you post and the times that you post. So that provides greater insight into how you can adjust your marketing content that you post. And when it comes to posting content on Facebook, it's also important to realize not to just overload or post too much information to your followers, but making sure it's authentic enough to where it's representing the brand in an authentic and respectful way, because at the end of the day, that is the visibility of your brand. And so you just don't want to post content for the sake of simply posting content. Otherwise, you'll lose purpose in that. So how to drive revenue? I mean, obviously, there are different ways of driving revenue through social media, but one of them, by far the most underutilized function within Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and all of the other social networks is to use paid ads. I know that this may not be particularly attractive to entrepreneurs just starting out because you're kind of bootstrapped. But the great thing about doing these paid ads is that it can reach a wider demographic. So you're not limited to a specific zip code or a specific area or people within a specific industry. And so how do you make that ad attractive to them while also making money from it? Some of the key factors to keep in mind when running an ad is to have an ideal buyer persona. So that's fancy marketing language for saying that you should already have your demographic or target market in mind and reach them with the appropriate service offerings. Also interviewing your potential target market, finding out what their interests are, finding out, what made them go into entrepreneurship and things of that nature. Having a striking visual to draw attraction to the ad itself. Now, Facebook, among other marketing platforms, is very critical when it comes to approving ads that are heavy text-based, right? And so unlike an Instagram or say a Twitter or LinkedIn, where you have more freedom to publish more of a text-based ad, Facebook kind of limits it because it forces potential entrepreneurs and potential businesses to get the message across through simple aesthetic graphics that would grab a potential client's interest. Introducing a specific call to action. So, there are many ads out there that try to hook you by saying download this course or learn more by visiting our website, but it's also important to provide value to the end user or to the end customer that's going to your ad and that will eventually visit your website. So, for example, if you're running a fashion company, you may want to include a call to action saying, hey, download a PDF of my book, which teaches you the tips and tricks within the fashion industry. Because A, it's straight to the point, and it's also providing value to the customer first. You don't want to spend too many or send too many messages that just looks like another, spam-based message. You always want to provide value to the end customer, whether it's free promotions or upselling any of the items that you may sell, or having that knowledge, providing it through different avenues because everybody learns differently. Having an estimated budget to measure ROI. So I get a lot of questions about saying, hey, what's the right price to have for a Facebook ad? The answer is there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. But what I always like to say is start with a minimal budget because it truly is about trial and error in terms of viewing engagements, cost per click, and the results that you'll get out of that ad campaign. So if you're in a position to, spend less money from the outset, and then you can adjust accordingly based on the metrics and analytics that you see within the Facebook Insights portion of the platform. Post engaging content on a strategic basis. It's always important to schedule content rather than manually adding content. And so for that, there are a couple of tools that I'll get into later that specifically help push out or automate content through different platforms at the right time so that you don't have to manually update it and lose time on potentially losing out other clients or increasing your reach. So so now I talked about the ad process. So how exactly does the ad process work and what can you glean out of it in terms of useful information? So the first step in determining an ad for Facebook, Instagram, or any of the most widely used platforms is the first question they're going to ask is, what's the purpose? So that in itself offers a lot of options. Is it to boosting awareness, get lead conversions out of it, drive traffic to your website? Those are some of the options that are available to you to run an ad. So once you cross that stage, then you can go into promoting your page. So you select your page, and again, this is where the daily budget comes into play, as well as specifying your demographic, right? So each company is going to have a little bit different demographic when it comes to that, and depending on where the company is in the mature product life cycle of the company, that's going to dictate what the budget should be in terms of having a good ideal budget. And then you get to the last screen here where you can see your ads and you can view results. And so Facebook does a really good job of providing you with engagement, how many people it reached. And so through that, you can see which method or which post drove the highest traffic and try to maximize that across different platforms. The only thing I would suggest when doing that is don't make the message the same thing, right? It's similar to, I don't know who said it, but there's a saying where if you try to keep the same message across many different TV spots, it's not going to resonate, right, with your audience, because each platform has a specific type of messaging that helps drive traction and engage the interest as well. So Instagram. Instagram is obviously, compared to Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, it's much more visual. So that's where the graphic and aesthetics and the look and the feel of the brand really come into play. This is, a platform that really thrives on that. And so how do you drive awareness on Instagram, for example? Well, the key thing is to have engaging photo and video link ads. Oh, sorry, did you have a question, Loren, or? Oh, okay, so the key here is to have photo and video link ads. And when I say photo and video link ads, I mean like high quality, because that really sets you apart from your competition. And the more high quality photos you have, research has shown that you're more likely to build a larger audience because of that. Using trending and relevant hashtags strategically, this is a big one. A lot of companies focus on this and they think that they can put any kind of hashtag that's in their space or within their space to kind of gain a portion of that traffic. But it's really important to customize those hashtags to the service offerings of your business, because the more you do that, the more trending you could possibly be, and people that search for those hashtags, it may bring your company page up by doing a hashtag search within Instagram. Direct messaging influencers and other businesses about your business. Now, this one is a key one, another key one to tap into the influencer marketing side of things. For example, I was fortunate enough to interview Arlen Hamilton, who is a pretty well-known VC within the business world, and ask her for an interview about marketing and to kind of get her thoughts there. So yes, I totally agree with people that may say it's a 50-50 risk. I'm reaching out to influencers because they probably get a lot of messages a day, but I always like to say, if you don't try, you don't know. And those could provide surprising results when it comes to influencer marketing. Conducting Instagram lives for your followers. So this is another key aspect within Instagram that I think many small businesses and large businesses tend to capitalize on, because it provides a day in the life of their own company, or to entrepreneurs who have their businesses, it's a very good way to connect with potential followers that can follow their brand. And utilizing Instagram stories as well, showing behind the scenes of the projects. For example, I know Ms. Hicks did a lot of that for the Michigan Fashion Week. So a lot of people who follow that channel are very, very well in tuned and know what's going on, and it generates the buzz and excitement, and so people can actually get to see the hard work and all of the important stuff that goes into planning such a big event. Posting valuable content, again, the great thing on Instagram and other platforms as well is there are multiple avenues to publish valuable content, whether it's a blog, a YouTube diary to help promote your business, being featured in news publications. So through all of that, it's very important to kind of help link that to your business page as well as having a link on your Instagram page to your website, because that will also help drive traffic while also cross-promoting. Again, the thing with cross-promoting is please, please, please customize the messaging across all different platforms, because not the same messaging won't attract what you're hoping for across all platforms. So it's very important to keep that in mind. Engage in the comment section of the posts. Yes, I know to people that are on Instagram, it can be a time-consuming thing to engage with all the comments in the comment section, but it's all, that's how you build your brand, right? It's always important to be available and answer any questions, particularly if you're a founder of a company. It's, to drive that traction and that following, it's always important to engage with people that write comments. It's only going to strengthen your brand image in the long run. And then, as I said, cross-promoting content across different platforms with different messaging. So how to drive revenue? Obviously, posting content on Instagram is great, but how do you turn that into money? Within the Instagram ads, there are a couple of ways you can go. One is the sponsored ad. So that is part of the ad service where you can create an ad called a sponsored ad, where it's not like a Facebook or LinkedIn type ad where it directly promotes your company, but people that are interested in similar industries or similar spaces, that sponsored ad will show up in their news feed. And by tapping onto a sponsored ad, it will then drive more traffic to your page, which might help land a client, depending on how you approach it. Then the second way is affiliate marketing. I know that sounds like a fancy term, but that's a term where you essentially partner with the brand. It's kind of like the YouTube reviewers where they promote certain brands. So from that, if you form those types of marketing ads where you have partnerships on Instagram, that's another way of getting commission or driving revenue from Instagram. I'm sure with all the influencers that people can see that are marketing those products, they get a certain commission check out of it. Obviously, majority of it goes to the brand, but the person promoting it also gets a portion of that check. Paid marketing campaigns, very similar to Facebook, being that Instagram also is part of Facebook. The ad process is similar, but you can delve deeper into your demographic and have more control over your budget. And it's less stringent on the text for your ads. So you're not limited to certain text criteria when it comes to that. Influencer marketing, again, reaching out to influencers within your industry. I think that's another key part to emphasize. A lot of people think that they can reach out to influencers that are not within their particular space, but it's also important to target those that are within your space as well. And content marketing, content is king, as they say, and it's very important to post at least once a day, if not more than that, to keep a good active following for your Instagram account. So again, the Instagram ad process. So typically in Instagram, it works differently, say, than a Facebook or a LinkedIn or a Twitter. Instagram, you can actually post and then choose to boost what Facebook considers to boost that page. Here they call it promote. So after you post your graphic or video, then it allows you that flexibility to decide whether or not you want to boost that post. or promote. So boost and promote, that's essentially translating into, do you want to do a paid ad for your Instagram post? And then from there, you can select who you want to target, how much you intend to spend. And once you kind of hone in on your budget, it shows you an estimated reach. By spending this amount of money throughout this time frame, this is the expected reach. So it gives you a pretty good idea of how many people or how much traffic, if done properly, your post can reach within that span of that time. And then after the campaign or ad finishes, you have two options, right? You can either view, you can obviously view the results at the end of the campaign, and it also gives you the opportunity to renew that campaign. So, say if you want to edit the post or edit the graphic, you can run a similar ad campaign and see how your results come, and then, adjust your marketing strategy on Instagram as well. Typically for Instagram, when posting a post compared to the other platforms, at least from what Think Impact has done, there tends to be a lot more likes and more traffic early in the morning. At least that's what we've noticed as a company when promoting an event or a post, compared to like a Facebook or LinkedIn and Twitter, where throughout the day it attracts more traffic. So that would be my only suggestion when trying to post on Instagram. Start earlier in the day, because there's a good chance that you'll see a high amount of traffic. Twitter. Twitter is similar to a lot of the other platforms as well, particularly Facebook and LinkedIn, because Twitter operates as a news feed. And the tips here that I have for businesses is, please have an easy handle to use. Don't create complications with the handle itself, because then it makes it more difficult for people to find your company page and then follow you and all of that. And Twitter, compared to other platforms, is very hashtag driven. At least that's what we've seen with some of the clients that we work with. So make sure, again, you include relevant hashtags that are specific to your company, not rather than kind of making it generic. Follow other influencers and organizations within your industry, because chances are, if you follow their company page, they're more likely to retweet or follow your content as well and follow you. And that could lead to a potential client. Again, make your bio within Twitter simple. Have a link to your website, a description about your company, and retweet other people's content, right? It's not constantly creating content organically, just post content. If you see a message that sticks out to you, retweet their content. Who knows? It could develop into an interaction and at the end of the day, a business connection for you. This one is another key one. When you tweet, please keep it straight and to the point. This was something early on that I learned as an entrepreneur. I was very big into trying to explain the messaging and making sure that kind of hooks the potential client or customer. But I find out very quickly, the more direct you are and the more straight to the point you are, they're more likely to engage with you, whether it's through direct message or through the newsfeed itself, whether it's tweeting at you or following your page. So please keep it straight and to the point. Develop a content generation calendar. So typically for clients that we work with, we develop a week's worth of content across all platforms with the optimal times, because again, each platform is different and they gauge differently based on the times that you post. And we usually give it to them a week in advance. And the intention behind that is, say if the client that we're working with has a new product launch or software launch, it allows ample time for both our company and their company to include that as part of their postings, right? So we like to say that compared to our competition, we're not a prescribed company, especially when it comes to pricing and things like that. Rather, our core strength is to develop a relationship and see how we can help each other. And post at the optimal time. Now, I know obviously there can be slight variations in times of posting to generate higher traffic. A really good resource to check out for this is Hootsuite. They have a very good and accurate breakdown of each platform, and through their studies, what the optimal point is to drive the highest traffic to your posts, which will play a critical role, especially when it comes to introducing a new product or service or go-to-market strategy for companies out there. That will really it may seem small now, but will have a drastic effect when it comes to trying to build your following and audience. Within Twitter, again, there are different ways to account for your revenue model. So one is the sponsored tweets, again, similar to Instagram, where you can develop an ad that is not specific to your company, but companies that are within a specific hashtag, they can see that scrolling on your news feed. So then that will drive traction to your page. Running a Twitter campaign. So again, looking at the interests, the hobbies, and that buyer persona profile of your target demographic and making sure that you're fitting that demographic as well. And so this is the campaign process when it comes to running an ad in Twitter. It's slightly longer. That happens to be because Twitter tends to be a bit more detailed at times. And so again, but the layout or the premise is pretty similar again. They want to know why you're running the ad and what you hope to get out of the ad. So whether it's to promote the tweets or whether it's to customize it enough to where you're promoting your products and services of the company. And then at the end of the campaign, it shows you the analytics. So it shows you people that were interested in specific fields. It gives you a percentage breakdown. It gives you a gender breakdown. And then, it provides that entire summary. So it really becomes crucial when developing a Twitter campaign. LinkedIn. Now this platform, compared to, I know everyone likes to focus on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. LinkedIn is a platform that comes into play when you're marketing to businesses. It's more of a B2B platform. So when it comes to attracting clients, there are a couple of different ways or to drive awareness for your company. The first one is to filter your network to organizations that operate in your particular industry. So it's also very keyword heavy. So when you search by job title or by industry, it provides you a list of options or people that you can interact with. But before you decide to kind of go to that next step of interacting and inviting followers to your page, it's very important to have a very effective LinkedIn page. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's good to have a good profile picture, good to have a good, concise summary that encompasses all of your experiences that you've had, whether it's in the corporate world or volunteer aspect of it, and tag appropriate organizations that either that you've worked with or that you like their content, because that will also lead to maybe them following you or having an interaction that may happen offline, not necessarily online, but offline. And one great feature that is great within LinkedIn is based on the connections that you have, it has a people you may know portion of the site. So what that means is people within similar interests, it's suggesting it's like an Amazon algorithm, right? Where it measures your buying behavior. If you buy one thing, then it automatically suggests, hey, these might be some other things that you might want to buy. So similarly to that, LinkedIn has that feature, except it's called People You May Know. And across, there's a banner when it brings up people's profiles to the point where you can filter by industry, by interest, by company pages, and all of that. So it lets you even drill down even more than, say a Facebook and all of that, because it's a B2B platform. Post content that provides an added value. Especially like my other point here, sending personalized LinkedIn messages. A lot of companies are very good at, sending out a template-driven LinkedIn message that doesn't really provide, any value, but it's either A, to buy their product, to pitch their service, or to follow their page. And so the more personalized messages you send, the more logical connections that you're, able to have out of that. So always provide value. And even if it's free, that's okay. But to build your initial following, it's always important to provide value to the end user, because you never know what may come out of that. So how to drive revenue? LinkedIn Ad Campaign Manager is a very useful tool. It's similar to Facebook Business Manager. So within LinkedIn Campaign Manager, there are a multitude of different ads. One of them is called a dynamic ad. So that encompasses, the carousel ad. Something is what they call as a follower ad, a sponsored ad, or a video ad. So that's one portion of an ad that you can run. Another one is called carousel ads. So when you think carousel ads, think similar to banner ads, right? So every time you go on Google, if you type in shoes, then you'll see a whole slew of banners, whether it's on your left side, your right side, or the middle of your screen. So similarly, that's what LinkedIn considers to be carousel ads. So it's going to appear on the side of your right side of your LinkedIn page, your left side of the LinkedIn page, and then a banner across the top of your page. And so that's particularly useful because it's displaying information about your company in a variety of different aspects compared to a static ad, say like a video ad, for example. Video ads are gaining traction. A lot of businesses are using those, and those are useful ads too. But carousel ads are like banner ads, and that tends to drive more traffic. There are also something called as follower ads. And as you can probably guess by the name, it's to follow your company page. And so those are very useful ads too. Initially, when you're starting out to get followers, it's always important to pick the right ad format. That way you're driving home the messaging clearly. The one no-no that I would suggest when doing ads across all platforms is don't buy followers. That's the most unorganic, unauthentic representation of your brand that you can have. You don't want to project numbers that don't have any backing through your ads. That's a big no-no. Or create a LinkedIn group. If you operate in the fashion industry, or if you're an entrepreneur trying to provide value, start a group. Invite influential connections that you think would make an impact or a difference into those groups. And from there, with the type of content that you post, again, whether it's video, blogging, documentation of your startup, whatever it may be, that will help drive more traffic and help more people share their experiences within the business world. Or if you're an existing company, find similar groups, again, to where you can share your information. Obviously, you don't want to tell your whole bio of your company because that may kind of be in conflict with your own company, but try to share as much information in a generic manner within these LinkedIn groups, because that will, again, expand your network as well. In addition to the traditional networking or marketing methods like networking events or, work meetings and things of that nature. And so this is the LinkedIn campaign process. As I kind of alluded to, it allows you to customize the ad on how you want it to appear. And one of the great things that LinkedIn does when it comes to building or formulating an ad is, while you're specifying your target demographics, it will show you how the ad is going to be displayed in real time, compared to Facebook and Twitter and the like, where you enter the demographic information, but it doesn't show you the design of the ad at first. It only shows you how it will look in the end, and then you can kind of edit from there. LinkedIn shows you in real time, so you can go back and edit, again, whether it's budget or the content of the ad itself, it allows you to do that in real time, which is a great feature, particularly when, if you're a new business starting out, or if you're trying to target a specific niche target market for a larger brand. So obviously, now with the pandemic, everything has the business models have changed. And so what is the current situation, and how can marketers or people that use social media adapt to those changes? So the current situation is, there's been a drastic increase in virtual settings, particularly work from home. Even before the work at home, co-working spaces were another outlet that allowed companies to provide value to both their employees as well as their customers. So that has drastically changed, the brick and mortar model. Like, for example, stores that rely on income to operate, now it's become more virtual, and they're having to adapt in terms of what they call as an e-mortar model, more of an e-commerce twist to it, if you will. There's been a substantial decrease within the cost per 1,000 impressions. Now, cost per 1,000 impressions is just one of the many factors that is looked at when you're looking at SEO or pay-per-click and all of that. This happens to be a pretty big factor when driving website traffic. the reason why it's decreasing is because a lot of companies have had to strategically decide where they want to put their budget. And they're having resistance in some industries, at least, to marketing on social media or SEO and ad-based costs, whether it's through Google Ads, Bing Ads, and across those ad platforms. And as I mentioned, companies are having to restructure their entire goals and objectives because it wasn't what it used to be. I mean, this has drastically changed how businesses have operated. And they're having to adjust to, well, some, I shouldn't say all, but a good portion are having to adjust to, working from home and virtual reality, basically, through Zoom and through Google Meets and conducting meetings that way. So with that being said, how can marketers adapt? Again, as I said at the outset, a lot of people are placing very high influence on digital marketing. Well, one of the many things that marketers are great at is adapting. And I know that may seem simple on its face, but when I say adapt, I'm talking about, looking at industry trends, looking at data points, looking at what platforms can provide them flexibility and increase productivity, increase participation. And the other thing too that I would suggest that I forgot to mention earlier is when posting on social media, please make sure you're posting industry-specific content and the company-based content, because you don't want to have a stagnant content that's there for a while that doesn't gain any traction. That's not really doing your audience any good. So try to mix it up with noteworthy publications like Inc. magazine or Entrepreneur magazine within those fields. That way you can also provide information about where your industry is going, and that will prove to be useful when getting an audience. And being that we're a digital marketing company ourselves, we're very active on most of the major platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So please check us out on those channels. Please follow us. We'd greatly appreciate it. You can also check out our website, thinkimpactfirst.com, or feel free to email me personally if you have any questions. And I hope this deck has provided some valuable advice, at least, for any entrepreneurs out there. And I would be, I'm grateful to answer any questions that might be here.
Yes, I have a few questions. One, if let's say an entrepreneur maybe have only $200 to spend on ads, would you suggest them, what would be your suggestion on where to spend that money, or would you divide it equally amongst the 4 platforms, or what would you say you'll get the most bang for your buck as far as ads?
Yep. Yes, that's a great question. So if they have that that budget, what I personally would suggest is to spend minimal within that 200 across all platforms. And while doing that, tailor and customize the messaging to each platform. So don't keep the same message, but tailor each ad. So for example, if you're a photo company, it may be good to first start off with Instagram, and also prioritize by your company needs too. That would be another factor when spending the money across the platforms. Start with the platform that is closest to the industry that you operate in. So for example, if you're in a photo shooting industry, chances are you may want to start at Instagram first and spend a minimal portion of that 200 to start off with Instagram, and then equally spread it across all platforms to see what the analytics show, and then you can determine the post and the content that you provide accordingly.
Gotcha. Now also, and I don't know if this will be a personal preference, but would you suggest maybe advertising like selling a product? Should you advertise getting contact? Should you advertise getting to your website? What should you advertise when you are boosting posts and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I think those come in different categories. So if you're first starting out, if you have a website that people can view easily, I would take a graphic from the website, put the website URL in and say, hey, my name is X, Y, and Z. I've just started this business. I would greatly appreciate it if you can visit my website, and boost that post. Develop a graphic that's not too text heavy, because some of the platforms are kind of stringent on that, but develop it aesthetically enough to where it can drive an audience. So I would do that in the first portion of it. But if you're talking product and service, I think Facebook and Instagram are your best bang for your buck, because those are the most underutilized capabilities within those platforms that people often overlook. And because most people think you have to have a certain amount of budget to operate those ads within those platforms, when in actuality, you can do it on a minimal budget.
Okay, perfect. Now, do we have any questions from any of the viewers? I will unmute you. Courtney, did you have a question?
The first question that came to my mind was just like your opinion on, so I have a marketing and branding firm. So like she said, some of us just have a small budget starting out. And I just had like this aha moment a couple of weeks ago that I should focus all of my efforts on LinkedIn because of the business that I'm in. Do you agree with that? Or do you think I should build my Facebook like page and focus my efforts on Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. For a company like yours, if you're looking to get clients out of it, I would first start on LinkedIn.
Yes.
That's because you can drill down in terms of who your audience is, and you can just customize it to your company. The other thing that I would also say is in terms of like limited budget, or another avenue that can draw more attention is part of it is being like your own PR person.
Yeah.
And so what most of the media outlets do, at least the ones that I've reached out to, say for our company or for our clients, it's free to reach out to them. They don't usually, there are some media outlets that charge for the content, but say for example, if you want to have a newspaper article, like the Oakland Press, for example, those types of organizations will provide you an outstanding amount of PR, and you can tag those companies in your posts as well to grab their attention, number one.
Yes.
And then number two, when you're posting, tag, saying, hey, I was featured on the Oakland Press. Contrary to popular belief, that will actually draw more interactions and more trustworthiness within your network. And people that may be outside of your network would be more inclined to reach out to you because you're featured in a publication.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I know they say that networks are kind of the critical key to success, and that's true. Don't get me wrong there. But the more the more PR that you take on yourself to build up your brand, the more that's going to help in the long run and attract people that is outside of your network as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love LinkedIn. Like,
Absolutely.
I love LinkedIn. I was like, how come I didn't utilize this like 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because it's like a running thing where people think that like LinkedIn is dead, but it's absolutely not. So
no, it's very great when it comes to building relationships.
Yes.
And the other suggestion too that I would do is if you're targeting by title or by industry, type that in the search bar, right? Because the way that LinkedIn works when they provide you results is they're looking for which industry or which place or who you're targeting.
Yes.
It can be generic, so you're not limited to using specific long tail keywords or anything like that. So that's another great benefit of using LinkedIn as well.
Yes. Thank you so much.
tack'in too. That's how you and I, Taj. That's how we met on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I messaged him and we just start chatting from there. So
yeah. And another thing too is after you connect with people, it brings up, I think, like a grid of like six or 9 people that say people you may know or people that you might be interested in. And so that's another kind of like a hidden gem within LinkedIn that not many people know about. But again, it's kind of like that Amazon algorithm, right? Where you buy one thing, okay, you bought this one thing, now here are 10 other things that you may like. So that's another hidden gem within LinkedIn as well.
Did anybody else have any other questions? Did anybody have any questions? Just chat below. I will unmute you. If you have any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. I did have one question. How is that, you mentioned a LinkedIn group. Now, how is that different from Facebook, or what will be the benefit of the LinkedIn group? Details on that.
Yeah, so forming a LinkedIn group, it's it's not that different from Facebook. I think what I was trying to go there was it's more of a business kind of group, whereas Facebook, you can have a little bit of both, right? Either personal or business, whereas LinkedIn is more geared towards business to business partnerships or business to consumer partnerships. And they have more of a more detailed process. So say if you want to join a group, then you kind of, in some groups at least, when it comes to entrepreneurship, for example, some of them ask, some of the admins ask you to explain your businesses, and they have their own vetting process. So that's what I meant by, it may not necessarily be as easy as, say, a Facebook group, just because the option is there to enable like a thorough vetting process, because obviously they don't want spammers.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So sounds good. Okay, Courtney, if you got a jet. Okay, perfect. I think I had one more question too. Wrote it down. Oh, you mentioned something about scheduling content and doing it manual. So if I, like right now I'm doing most of mine's manual. Is it better to go ahead and schedule it than doing it manual? Is there like some kind of difference between doing it manual and having it scheduled?
Yeah, so I mean, I would go, I would try to automate the content for the simple fact that it simplifies time. So you don't have to manually do it unless there is something that you do want to customize in a post. There are tools like, for example, Hootsuite, Buffer are just two. And I think if you have like a free account on those allow up to 5 to 10 social accounts.
Okay.
So within that, you can plan like a whole week's worth of content. That's what I use for our clients.
Okay.
Because it simplifies, having to manually add that content where it's, whereas if you use one of these tools that's automated, you simply pick the platform, the timing that you want it to be pushed out. And also Facebook has this embedded within their business pages. I think it's under posts where you can see both the posts that you already have, and then you can click, I think it's called either advanced post or scheduled posts. Yeah. So you can utilize that, put the same exact content, but that's specific to Facebook. Whereas Hootsuite and Buffer, you can use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So you have more variety there. And I just suggest that for the simple fact that way you can kind of concentrate on the core competencies of other parts of the business. Okay. Helps with time.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Did anybody have any more questions before we let Taj go? Okay, well, I want to thank you for that. You have dropped so many awesome nuggets that I definitely can utilize, and I know a lot of people in this chat definitely can utilize as well. So I do thank you for coming on the show. So I appreciate it. And so, yes, if you wanted to reach out for Taj for any of your marketing needs, please do. He has his information right there. So I'll give you some time to jot down the information. And I want to thank you again. We'll definitely see
you. Absolutely. No, thank you for inviting me on the show. And I also wanted to let your followers know too, if they want a copy of this deck, feel free to email me using the email on this slide, and I'll be more than happy to provide any value that I can. So thank you again for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Perfect. And you have a great night, Taj, and this is not going to be our last time talking. So we will definitely.
I'm sure we'll be in touch, and thank you again. Hope you have a great night as well.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.